Class mods in Borderlands games are integral for your character. Most of the time, a class mod is one of the first things I farm for once I beat the game, as it almost always determines the way my build works and which types of damage I'll be doing. However, going from Borderlands 2 in the pre-sequel to Borderlands 3 and yes, Armor in Wonderland has been a huge shift in the way that class mods work. This is a huge problem for me as it destroys a huge portion of what made Borderlands fun. Just a disclaimer here before I get flamed in the comment section, the term class mod for the purposes of this video will mean both class mods from Borderlands 1, 2, 3 and the pre-sequel, as well as armor from Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Also, apologies for being so late on this video, I've had a very busy week. In Borderlands 2 in the pre-sequel, class mods were pretty simple. They were essentially a stat and skill boost, but only for specific characters or classes. This meant that no matter what, your class mods would always be specially designed for your character, and would, in most cases, be a fairly powerful addition to your character. In Borderlands 3, the class mods were changed slightly. All legendary class mods in Borderlands 3 added a specific ability to the Vault Hunter. They were still locked to specific characters, and still boosted stats and skills, but the stats they boosted were completely random. So instead of boosting sniper damage on your sniper class, you could get a boost to shield capacity instead. Where things really took a turn for the worse is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. In Wonderlands, Armor, as it is now called, not only had randomized skill and stat boosts, but the intended classes are also randomized. Legendary Armor still offers a special ability though, so that means that there are certain armor pieces intended for use by certain classes that can drop and end up being entirely useless to that class. As I mentioned before, class mods in recent games, Borderlands 3 and Wonderlands, have essentially become fully randomized. And while this means that more class mods can be viable in more situations, it also makes farming for them way harder. In Borderlands 2, the stats and skills that certain class mods increased were always the same. The only difference between any two class mods of the same type were how powerful they were. This meant that, even though the enemies that drop the item are very rare, the chances of getting a good class mod are relatively high. However, on the flip side, Borderlands 3 class mods, being completely randomized, have way more variables than in Borderlands 2. This means that when farming for a class mod, rather than just farming for the proper class mod, you need to farm for the proper class mod, then the proper skill allocation, and then you need to farm for the proper passives for your current build. The odds of getting a decent class mod in Borderlands 3 are crazy high. But, while the odds in Borderlands 3 are high, they are nothing compared to the odds in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. In Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, the proper armor piece has, just quite frankly, too many variables. You have to first farm for the proper first class, then the proper second class, then the proper skill allocation, and then on top of all of that, you have to farm for proper passives. Plus, if you're farming at Chaos 50, you also have to pray that this armor piece drops as Ascended. That's one of the biggest issues with randomized class mods in recent games. The insanely rare drop rates make farming for even a half decent class mod basically useless, as it's just too rare to bother with it. A huge part of what really drew me to the Borderlands franchise originally was the class system. The class system in Borderlands was, is, and always will be one of my favorite parts of Borderlands. However, the new class mod system with randomized skills and passive stats kind of ruins the class system in Borderlands. This kind of ties in with the previous point, where finding the correct stats on a class mod is mega rare, but finding class mods to match your class and build you're playing is near impossible. In Borderlands 2, Zero was your obvious choice for a sniper class, and naturally you'd want a sniper class mod for that build, as a sniper class mod would always give you bonus sniper damage and bonus sniper crit damage. In current gen Borderlands games, any class mod can have any passives, so there really isn't any definitive sniper class mod in Borderlands 3 or Wonderlands. Sure, the Deadeye is a good class mod for sniper flak, but in a lot of cases, a damn rat commander could be more useful for a sniper flak build if it drops with the right passive stats. Similarly, Zane or even Amara can outperform flak sniping potential with a class mod that boosts the proper stats. This all kind of makes the class system pointless, as even a class that's designed for dark magic damage, for example, can actually be less useful with a corrupted plate mail if it drops with the wrong class rolls or passives. Okay, I know this next point is mainly opinion based, but the armor pieces in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands seem pretty boring. This is mostly because, again, every ability has to work with every class now. This wasn't as prevalent in Borderlands 3, but in Wonderlands, it's so painfully obvious. Armor is not specialized for any specific class now, so every armor's ability is just dumbed down to work with all 6 of the classes. Even companion armor pieces can be used by literally any class, even the 3 that don't inherently have companions, just by using a Furrier weapon that spawns Hydras or Pixies. This again ties into classes in Wonderlands being kind of pointless, since if you run a corrupted plate mail on a Mist Dancer, they all of a sudden become a dark magic class. Gearbox was super close to perfection with class mods in Borderlands 3, giving each class mod not only a stat boost, but also a special ability unique to that class mod was super cool. I was actually okay with the skills being semi-randomized too, but where Borderlands 3 lost me was the randomized passive stat boosts. Class mods are meant to be specialized to a specific playstyle, so having a class mod that gives Moe's bonus corrosive damage, but then having the class mod do nothing with that corrosive damage is just stupid. Wonderlands 2 is just kind of hopeless in terms of armor in my opinion. They're just too modular. If any class can use any class mod and have almost any benefit from it, what's the point of having a class mod to begin with? Class mods are meant to be just that, class modifiers. But in Borderlands 3 and Wonderlands, class mods don't so much modify the class as they do define your class, and you just have to hope that you enjoy whatever weapons or damage that your class mod happens to boost. Anyway, that's gonna wrap up this video. Let me know what you think of the current gen class mods in the comments below the video. Thank you all so much for watching and have a wonderful day.